Hello and welcome back to another episode of Wisdom for the Weekend. So this week I'm talking about your love language, and there are 5 of them. You may or may not have heard of these, but this is definitely something that I talk about within the first few dates of meeting someone new, because I really want to know what their love language is. And when I go through these, I'm just going to give you an example of something that happened to me a long time ago when our love language didn't match up, and it was really painful for me. I'll never do that again. So let's talk about these 5 love languages. And they are words of affirmation, quality time, receiving gifts, acts of service, and physical touch. So I think this is probably a good thing for everyone to do, is to learn your partner's love language, even if it's someone that you're newly dating. And this is definitely a conversation that I have very soon in the dating process of dating someone, because I want to know, how can I communicate with them? And are we sort of on the same level? Do we speak the same language when it comes to love? So words of affirmation, we'll start there, are things, statements or compliments that you give the person. So you want to know, what I normally ask is, I want to know what that person, what their love language is, and what they love to receive, what they love to give and what they love to receive. And it could match with yours, it could not match with yours, but it's good to know, because if they love receiving gifts and that's not really a love language of yours, you'll just need to know that that's really nurturing for them, and start having that as a somewhat routine practice, is giving them a gift or something very thoughtful every once in a while. That would really probably light them up. So I think that words of affirmation. So let's go back to that. That's saying, giving compliments, telling them that they look really nice in what they're wearing. I always tend to compliment men on how they look. If I think that they look good, or if they're wearing something really nice, or if they're wearing a suit, I definitely will compliment. Or if they just got a haircut, I definitely take these things into consideration. I notice these things and I definitely verbalize them. And for the most part, I will say that it's men love to be complimented. They really do. So the next one is quality time. And this means when you give someone your undivided attention and spending time with them. And it doesn't mean that you have to spend hours and hours and hours with them. It just means that the time you spend with them is really quality, that you're really doing something together, or you're just maybe not necessarily watching TV, really spending time talking about things, or going to a museum and doing something together. So that's quality time. The next one is receiving gifts. We talked a little bit about this. And sometimes people love to receive little thoughtful little gifts, little symbols for them. And it's, I think, really sweet when that's their love language and they really love it. And so if you are also someone that loves to give or receive gifts, then I think that would be a really nice match for someone if that's their top 2 love languages. The next one is acts of service. So that's like when you want to do something, or when you love doing something for your partner, whether that's like cooking for them, or picking up the dry cleaning, washing their car for them, or anything like that. Like just doing things. If your man wants to set up your whole surround sound, or put together a table or something like that, those are acts of service. The next one is physical touch. And this and quality time are my 2 love languages. So physical touch, This is huge for me. This is a non-negotiable. And in a relationship for me is physical touch. I love it. I love giving it. I love receiving it. And it's just so nurturing for me. It really, really is. So that means like holding hands, kissing, hugging, and even sex. So I think that there's people that this wouldn't be their, primary love language. And many, many, many years ago, when I didn't know anything about these love languages, I dated a man who his primary love language was acts of service. So he would do things for me all the time, and really sweet and really nice guy. But he was not into physical touch. And I would cry so much over this. Oh my God, I would cry. And I just wanted him to learn how to be affectionate with me. Unfortunately, that never happened in the time that we were together. And I could have definitely saved myself some heartache by moving on pretty quickly, knowing and learning that physical touch was not his primary, or even it probably was like his last out of the 5. If you needed to list from most important to least important, physical touch was definitely not in his realm. I needed to ask if I could hold his hand. I needed to ask for a hug. I had to ask to be kissed. It was so painful. Oh my goodness. So those are the 5. And I love talking about this on, a couple of dates in, because I love to know, and seeing what the guy or gal that you're dating is, how they are and how they operate. It's really a cool thing. And it's so good to know right in the beginning, right? I mean, if I had known with this other guy that he totally was into acts of service, but he would never want to hold me, I probably would have ended it very quickly. Affection for me is a non-negotiable. That is the number one thing that is a deal breaker if it's not there. So I hope this helps. Don't be shy. Talk about this stuff, definitely. And find out what their love languages are, like their top 2, and find out what they love to do for the person that they're with, their top 2, and what are the top 2 things that they love to receive. Like maybe they love to do acts of service, but they really love receiving gifts. So you kind of want to know that and kind of be in tune, and you can decide whether or not that matches up for you, and whether or not you can, be and continue in the relationship. So happy Friday. Have a beautiful weekend, and I will talk to you next week. Bye for now.